Welcome to Spirit Live. I'm Roman Fisher. Listen, we got a great program. You don't want to miss this one because we have two people that's going to talk about their testimony and how God's changed their life and a little about the Bible school and what Bible school has done for them. Maybe you're looking for Bible school this year, and this couple is going to be talking about what they've learned since they came to Bible school. And we'll be right back after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to Spirit Alive. We're talking to this couple here, the retailers, and this is Julie and Corey. And so they've been talking about their lives together as a couple in ministry and Bible school, and their life as a couple working alongside in ministry. So we want to talk a little bit about how your lives have developed since. Maybe we'll shoot a little bit back. Tell me about your background and addictions and how you come to your place where you are right now, and overview it a little bit.
Sure. So just a little blurb. When I growing up, my parents were pretty messed up in drugs and alcohol themselves. Actually, up until I was 4, both my parents, I wasn't around neither of them, and they divorced when I was about 4 and a half, and from age 5 on up to about 8 or 9, it was just me and my dad. And then my dad remarried, my mom remarried, and so I was in two separate families at that point. Mm-hmm. And I had a hard time finding a spot to fit in. Didn't feel like I was accepted on either side for quite some time, especially when I had stepsisters on one side, half sisters on the other. And so I ended up finding my spot with people at my school that were smoking, and then eventually people that were into smoking marijuana, and that became my lifestyle for quite some time. Actually, I found I fit in with those people, so those were the people that I began associating with, and for years I was mixed up in the pot scene. And I tried to go back to church when I was 18 years old for a year. Worked really well, but I didn't have anybody discipling me. And I ended up walking away from the church when I was 19, and I spent 14 years running away from God. And as I ran away from God, I ran into my addiction deeper and deeper. And it was just one drug to another drug to another drug until everything spiraled out. When I was probably in my late 20s, early 30s, and I started getting into cocaine, and things got really, really bad. My father actually at one point said that I looked like I was going to die, and that's when things started to
So how often were you using cocaine? Was that the only drug at the end of your?
At the end, yeah, that was pretty much the only one. That was my
your drug of choice.
Drug of choice.
Yeah.
And it was 7 days a week.
7 days a week.
Yeah, and I wouldn't sleep.
How did you pay for all this stuff?
I was actually selling it.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would be out all night long selling the drug, and then when I was done, I would use for the rest of the day, and I would stay up for 7 days at a time.
Wow.
No sleep.
No
sleep. And then at the end of the 7 days, I'm done.
You crashed out.
And I crash out, and then I go right back at it again.
Okay.
And this went on for quite a few months. I can't remember exactly how many.
Did you have lots of blackouts at that time, or?
No, surprisingly not. I didn't, but I encountered a lot of people that were also very deeply in their addiction, and I saw a lot of really crazy, scary things that really reminded me of the darkness that's involved in addiction.
Yeah.
And
other things come with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I remember, there's profound moments in my addiction where I remember God was, reaching out to me And one of them was my dad and my stepmom had told me that that they had been praying, and God had showed them that I was on the wrong path, and if I didn't straighten out, things were going to get really bad.
So they weren't using then at this point?
No.
And were you in despair at that time?
Yeah, pretty close, pretty close.
But you were reaching out on the inside?
On the inside.
Yeah.
But on the outside, I was like, nah, I'm just going to keep doing what I want to do here. I thought I was having
so
fun.
So what made you feel like you had to stop then if you were having fun?
Well, it was actually the encounter that I had with God in a crack house. That was the stopping point for me. My stepmom.
So literally God had to get all your attention right
yeah,
there.
reach in and.
So there's people out there right now watching the program. You might not know. You might be asking, this guy here, he's in a crack house and God visits him there. Can you talk to the people a little bit about that?
Absolutely, it was actually unbelievable how God got a hold of me, because I had been up already for about 6 days, and my car broke down. I was no longer able to sell the drug that I was selling, crack cocaine, and I was sitting with a bunch of people that were using, and this one guy was giving it out for free, and anybody that is out there that uses knows that that doesn't happen. And we ran out, and everybody left, and it was just me and this guy, and I had this question come in my head to ask this guy if he believed in angels, and I thought that's the stupidest question to ask some guy who's getting high with you. But I decided, you know what, I'm going to ask him the question anyways, because I got nothing better to do. Mm-hmm. And so I asked him, and the moment that I asked him that, he leaned forward and he said, you know what, he said, we're surrounded by angels right now. And I was like, what? I'm like, what's going on here? And that's when I knew God was speaking to me. And he says, you know what, he says, you don't look like the type of guy that belongs here. Why don't you go and get help right now while you can? And I'm like, is this really happening?
Wow.
And that's when I knew God was speaking
so you went
to me.
For help at that time?
Yeah, that was it. That was the door opener for me.
So in maybe 2 minutes, real quick, tell us a little bit about capsulize your addiction and how you came to where you are now.
Well, my addiction was to alcohol, and I always went back to that. And I would always have these lines drawn in the sand where, I wouldn't start at noon, or if I did start before noon, I was an alcoholic, or if I didn't, drink all weekend, that I was okay, or if it was only on the weekend, then I was okay. Mm-hmm. Every time, and I would cross it each time, so that I'd start earlier, or my weekends would last, from Friday to Saturday with my drinking, and I would take Friday afternoons off to go drinking, and I was using it, I think, to mask a lot of my pain and a lot of my hurt, and I would do it where I was isolating myself. I was starting to isolate myself, but I thought that I needed it to be social, that I couldn't really speak to people unless I was drunk or feeling good. Mm-hmm. And I started to black out, and a lot of the times I wouldn't know where my two older kids were. They were young at the time, and I didn't even know where they were, and they could have been anywhere, but I thank God that there was some people that were around that could help me in those situations. And I reached a point where I wanted to commit suicide, and I didn't know, I was actually physically trying to choke myself when I thought, you know what, you really need help. And my dad was in a program for many years before, and I thought, oh, I have to go and talk to him. I think I'm ready now, that I need to, because my kids need a mother. So I just thought, I gotta do this. So I went in and I sought help, and I reached out and I changed, and I had a relationship with God since then. Mm-hmm. And
so right now there's women out there right now, mm-hmm. single moms, mm-hmm. young ladies. I would like you to pray for those mm-hmm. ladies right now as we close this program, because mm-hmm. I need you guys to come back and talk more about this part of it on another program. Mm-hmm. So would you please pray mm-hmm. for those individuals, ladies, right now?
Lord, I just lift these ladies, these single mothers that are out there struggling in addiction, or yes. struggling just to know what to do with their kids. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes we need extra help to get answers, Lord. And I know that you can reach them so that they could come to find people to help them. And that there's help in churches, there's help in programs that are available to anybody that has an addiction to alcohol, to drugs, and that they need to learn how to grow and to become these women that we need for their kids. And Lord,
Yes.
I praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Well, thank you so much for coming and talking with us. I sure enjoyed talking to you guys. You need to come back and talk a little bit more, go a little bit deeper into the addiction part so that people out there can hear. And so listen, we love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this program, let us know. Write to us, send us an email, send us a message on our Facebook. Our announcer will let you know, or it should be written on a screen there, about where to find us and how to contact us. Tell us what you think about the program, because we need to know who you are, and we need partners. If you believe that God is tugging on your shoulders or put on your heart to be part of this program and this ministry across Canada, we need you to do that. Call us as soon as you can. So God bless you. We'll see you next time on Spirit Alive. We're going across the nation, touching lives. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye. Hi everybody, it's Pastor Roma again. I'm inviting you this year to our annual conference. You know, every September we have one. So this year, September, the dates are the 20th to 24th, 7 o'clock every night, 10:30 every morning, and 2:30 in the afternoon. We also have a leadership session on Saturday at 1 o'clock. So if you want to register for that, you can. So we have my pastor, Apostle Rick Shimatero from Windsor Christian Fellowship. We also have a great man of God from Italy this year coming. His name is Mauro Gigenti, and he's coming in, so you don't want to miss him. And two great friends of mine. I got one pastor friend of mine from Kettle Point First Nation, and Murray Shano. He's always got excitable man of God. He's always got a great word, great teacher, and very excitable. And we have a good friend of mine from Madison, Wisconsin, USA, and Tim Sadler. He's coming in as well. So man, these guys are loaded and ready to go. So bless God. We want to see you here all the way from Newfoundland, all the way across the nation to British Columbia. We're inviting you here. So especially you guys that are around the region, come on in and make new friends and even people for a lifetime. So come on in. We'd love to see you here. We're praying, believing God for the best time ever. So we'll see you.
Meetings will start Wednesday night at 7 p.m. and continue until Sunday night. All meetings will be held at Faith City Church, 360 Black Bay Road. Registration is free. For more information, go to faithcitychurch.ca or call our office at 807-344-1956. If you're in the Thunder Bay area, we'd like to invite you to one of our live services right here at Faith City Church in Thunder Bay, Ontario, Canada. Service times are Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. and Wednesday at 7 p.m. Pastor Roma Fisher ministers a practical word that will inspire your faith. We look forward to seeing what God has in store for you. Do you desire a deeper walk with God? Do you have the calling of God upon your life? Are you interested in studying the Bible or training for ministry? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you need to check out Faith Life Bible School. We are a northern Bible school that's accessible, affordable, and practical. We are accepting applications for the upcoming 2017-2018 school year. Orientation and classes start late September. For more information or to download an application, go to faithlifebibleschool.ca or call us at 807-344-1956. See you this fall. Welcome to Spirit Alive. We're so glad you joined us today. We have a very wonderful guest today, Max Kakapetum. But before we introduce him, my name is Pastor Ken Semestric. I'm with Faith City Church here. I'm filling in for Pastor Roma. And Spirit Alive is a program that's aired throughout Canada, and it's sharing the spirit of faith. And so we get people to share the spirit of faith. And we've got Max Kakapetum. Max, we're so glad you're here today. And share a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and what you're about.
Well, My name is Max Kakpidam me Disney Kaz, and I'm Wujikri from Sandy Lake. And then I've lived here for about 12 years, I guess, here in Thunder Bay. Moved here, and I started going to church here. I would probably say about seven years ago. I've been in here, and and also I guess talking about the Bible school. In my early years, I went to quite a few Christian schools. I basically grew up in a Christian school. I went to public schools that were Christian schools by the Mennonites, and also went to a Christian college in St. Catharines. So so I've heard about the Bible when I was young. I've also went to what they call a residential school, and basically I grew up in that school probably from when I left when I was 9 years old, and finished basically high school, I guess, and I was about 20 years old. So during that time, basically, I guess I basically left at home and never really lived at home. There was 14 of us in our family, the kids, and the older ones I grew up with them because they went to residential school with me. But the younger ones were never really grew up with them, and so that was a problem for them, because we lost contact with them, and that's basically what the residential school did to me at that time. Yeah.
And after the school, you ended up becoming a Christian and traveling and singing with your brothers some?
Well, I first became a Christian. I asked the Lord to be my Savior and Lord when I was about 16, 17 in the Bible, and I was at the Christian school, and and then from then on, went on to another schools and grew and basically went to residential school and the other schools there, and basically, and then shortly after that, I first got married, and then after that, the marriage didn't work out, and then started, I guess, what you call the worldly things, basically. I've never done drugs, that kind of stuff there, but I did go back to drinking, and I basically I was basically drunk for about 20 years, I guess, basically, but I've never forgotten God. I've never forgotten the time that I knew God and that God was in my life. I forgot for a while, and it seemed that I went in a deep sleep there for a while.
Yeah, I remember when you came to the church there, and you had prayer about 10 years ago, and the Lord touched you, and you came back to Him full force, eh?
That was about that was close to 10 years when I first met you, basically. And after that, I think about 2 or 3 years after that was when I opened up my residential school issues, and then it really flooded on me.
Right.
I didn't know what to expect at that time, and you remember we took a trip to Winnipeg because I needed somebody to support me when I met and had an interview with the government, and you were there with me, and from then on, basically, a lot of prayer from you and Pastor Roma, and I basically got things settled to quite a bit in my life until basically, I guess, the residential school basically, I guess, kind of rocked my life again, when I opened it up, and then I guess I just basically went downhill at that time. And then not too long after that, I knew something was wrong. I knew there was something not right in my life at that time. There was something inside me that I couldn't deal with. I didn't know how to deal with it. So I asked, I only knew, I knew some pastors that I can call. So I made that call close to 2 years ago. And the two gentlemen that I called was Joey Gilbert and also Larry Salt. Those were the ones that I called, and I didn't know what to do at that time. I didn't know what my next move was going to be. So they kind of settled me down and said, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it, and we'll call you in about a week. And in about 4 days, they called me back and said, this is what we think we should do. Is that he said, yeah, I think you should come here to Six Nations, and I think we should do something here. And he said, we want to carry you through a healing journey. Basically, is what they told me, and I agreed. I agreed right away, because I knew that I had to do something right away.
Was this going on while you were in Bible school, or was that just before the Bible school?
That was before the Bible school.
It was just before the Bible
That was
school.
before the Bible school.
Okay. And then after you came back from that
Yeah.
episode there,
Yeah.
you got involved with the Bible school?
Yeah. Basically, that's what happened, because it happened in December. I made my call in December, and in January, so basically when I made that trip to Six Nations, and I met them over there, and got through, and I made my journey there, and I did what I need to do, and this was dealing with my residential school and issues, and it was pretty hard to deal with it at that time. But I knew that I walked out of that church where Phil Salt and Larry Salt and Joey Gilbert, they were all there for me, and my youngest daughter was there also. But it's probably one of the best things I did at that time was to make that trip, and then really started what needs to be done in my life. And I came back here, and then I started learning a lot of things about my past life, and the things I learned at that time, basically, just to make it quickly, is I needed to learn what my past was. I needed to learn what was my present life, and I needed to learn what my future life looked like. I had to learn all those things, and so I did. And then later on, towards summer, I never even thought of going to the Bible school at that time, but the Lord spoke to me basically in September probably, and I made up my mind. I made a commitment that I'm going to do something for myself. Up to that time, I think I've also thought about suicide. I never thought of going through with it, because I'm kind of a chicken. Basically, I was afraid to die, because I knew where I was going to go if I die. But anyways, so I made a commitment that I will go to the Bible school, and it's probably the best thing I ever did. I've been telling people, wherever I go. The best thing I ever done was to enter my Bible school. And and the things I learned about the Bible school was even the things that I thought I knew. It would just overwhelm me. You know, I cried a lot. And even the Lord even showed me that I had tears that I never had before. And slowly and behold, my family I lost my family twice, and but my kids came back and got things rolling again with my kids. So it's been good that way. And I went through the Bible school, and
so you, at the Bible school, you became friends with some of the students, and your class was a very good class. This was the 5th year that we had the Bible school, and it was one of the best years because all the students seemed to be very hungry for knowledge, for the things of God, and so you became quite friendly with the group of Bible students?
You know, when I didn't know any, I don't know any of the people that came to the Bible school with me. I had no idea who they were going to be.
Right.
I just knew that I had to go, and I made sure that I made a commitment, and I made a commitment so much that I didn't want to even be 1 minute late when the class started, and the assignments and everything. It was just.
Well, you're very dedicated, because I'm one of the instructors at the school, and teaching Max was a great privilege because you were hungry, you listened, all the students listened, and maybe you're watching and you're interested in Bible school. This is a great opportunity. It's here in Thunder Bay, it's local, it only takes 1 or 2 days a week, and you can get yourself a certificate and accomplishment, and also you can go on to licensing and ordination as well. So so you also sing, right, Max?
Yeah, I sing. I've been singing quite a bit since I was early age, and my brother and I, we sing together these days for a while already. We've been singing in camp meetings and churches and schools, and
I know we did the funeral. Pastor Omo
did I sing in the funeral too?
You did.
Wow,
we
boy,
went over
good.
to Long Black, and you really sang.
We would like to give you an opportunity to ask Jesus into your life if you haven't done that. Say this simple prayer: Jesus, come into my heart. Be my Lord and my Savior. Friends, if you prayed that prayer, contact the information on the screen, and we will love to send you some material to help you in your new walk with Christ.